The thing I'm worried about here is I have to build a box in here and then a box in here that is the same distance from the end. That's going to be quite difficult to do accurately, especially since when I rebuilt the end here there was a lot of eyeballing and guesswork, and there's really if it's within a centimetre of the other end, then I did real good. I mean, you're not going to notice it, but this is a bit where it has to be fairly accurate. Although when we look at the beams, the strength is actually mostly up. If I shaved, if to get it done I had to shave a few mils off the end, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't significantly alter the strength. Now trying to find the center line of the deck. I got 1118 millimeters here. That would make it 559. Because the end of the tape measure is square and the top of the boat is roughly triangular, then I need to measure it this way so that, because there'll be a gap on that side. So let's call that 624. That would make 312 here. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. Sight down the post to find the straightest edge. Definitely not that one. It's actually that side. Okay, so that is 88 millimeters. This is 81. Okay, that end's narrower, 80. It's pretty close fit. Especially considering there's going to be fiberglass over it, and who can really say how wide fiberglass is? These are going to need to be hand fitted, freehand angle grinding. You notice this isn't quite level, but the boat isn't quite level either, so it's good enough. Marking up the side I rebuilt, well, it's clearly not square, but I didn't really expect it to be. The question is, can I get it good enough so the beams will fit. What my basic plan is, tie some of the beams on and get the boat itself lined up straight enough, and then I'll just stick the cross beam in one end and lower it down here and just basically mark it directly off the beam. That'll give a good enough fit. Before I get the cross beams back in and build the netting beam boxes, I've been trying to make sure that the hulls are lined up parallel and square with each other. So what I've done is it was very difficult to find any reference points to measure against, but I managed to mark center lines, and to get a straight line just pull a string tight between it, and then that's checked against the bulkheads and a square from the beam throughs and the deck and so on. And then to make sure the boat's actually square, measure that the diagonals from one hull to the other corner and from the other side are the same. And this is where the two lines actually cross over. So you can see that's like right in the center. So I'm satisfied that it's square. Okay, I've figured out how I'm going to attach the box beams. First, I'm going to place the cross beam in the line in which it will go. Then I've added some spacers here. Cover it in a plastic bag so that it doesn't get glued to anything. Include a wooden block to hold it up at the right level. Then clamp on the pieces to be installed. Next I will squirt in slightly thickened epoxy all around that, and then put a fillet of thicker epoxy to hold it in. It's time to remove the crossbeam and see if my method of making sure that they glue in straight worked. Okay, I managed to get it in firmly. Plenty of glue. Pretty much lines up. A little bit extra, but I'm just going to grind that away and make the gaps slightly bigger. Also managed to avoid getting too much extra around the fillet, extra epoxy around the fillets that I'll have to sand off, which is a big success. I should be able to saw through this now. Yes! I couldn't saw through that until then because otherwise I think this would have moved out of line and it wouldn't have made a smooth curve. This one came out quite a bit messier. Marking for the other side, I measured this distance for the inside edge, then up here measured that that was pretty much vertical and looks right, and then measured that that was 90 across. That's going to be slightly on the small side, but I can make it bigger, but I can't make it smaller. Fits. And now I get to see how much clearance there is. Only just fits. Now this one fits, but I forgot to press on. The beams are now both located. In the plans, the netting beam boxes have wooden blocks beside them. I'm pretty sure that those are just to align bits where you glue it. I've done that a different way. Then they glass on the inside. It doesn't seem to say to glass the outside, and because of the blocks of wood, that's really difficult. I've decided not to do the blocks of wood and to glass both sides, because this was where the whole problem came from. The ends that I had to rebuild were because these rotted. This is now all completely glassed, and I've changed the design so it's much more well sealed. Also, there's a cover plate that goes on the top, and that's not glued, it's just screwed on. I believe that those screws were also a problem. I'm not going to screw it on, I'm going to pull it down with a bungee from the bottom, something like that. It's also not even clear from the instructions here if the deck is glassed yet. I've already glassed the deck, and then I'm going to glue this on top of the glass deck, so even if water does get inside and starts rotting, you're only going to have to replace this and not the whole deck. If the boat needs to be fixed in another 20 years, they won't have to do the things that I did. It's now the morning after glassing the things. This is my first look at it. I did a layer of double diagonal and then tried as much as I could to get a layer of cloth over it. Now the moment of truth is, does the beam fit in? I hope I didn't make it. I hope I didn't add so much fiberglass that doesn't fit. Because if I did, it's going to be really awkward to sand inside of it. Oh, heaps of room. Excellent. It's good. The boat is now back in the condition that I thought it was when I bought it. It's only taken 3 months of work. So now I just need to fix the hatches and put the rig back together. Oh, the cockpit, but that's not that important. Figure out how I'm going to get it back in the water.